one. And we're live.
Welcome. Neads Show, Sonic Garden Radio Live. How do you do? What is it, Thursday?
They had a teenage wedding and the old folks wished them well. You could tell that Pierre did truly love the mademoiselle. Sure, Madame rung the chapel bell. C'est la vie, say the old folks. Goes to show you never can tell. They furnished off an apartment with a 2-room robot sale. The coolerator was
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the mAng and Neads Show, live on Sonic Gardens Radio. Here we are, day number 39.
Here we are.
C'est la vie. Yeah, intro song. Pep and Jeff playing C'est la vie with me and Chris about 3 years ago,
Back in the
April
day.
4th, 2017. Here we are. So anybody coming new to this channel, new
Bring it.
subscribers, thank you for listening. Anybody revisiting, if you could, hit the like button.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Or their friend.
Or, spread the word. And we appreciate it. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers.
Spread the word.
So, hey,
Not
hit
your
that button.
legs.
Help us out. What's the latest?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I
what do you-
made some good videos, but I can't send them over my phone, and I'm having technical
Who'd you
issues. I
make
gotta use
videos
a
with?
Dropbox or something.
Who are you?
Oh, dude, there's a couple that really that Judge Janine Pirro,
Oh, you know her.
loosely saying Judge. Oh God, she had a rambling rant that I can definitely play that.
Was she drunk?
Dude, I that's what it's so weird, man. It's
Oh.
like, is anybody buying her act? I don't really get it. Like, what is her fan base?
I don't
that,
know
like,
much
is
about her,
buying
man.
it,
She's a judge?
Well, she used to be, but it's
Oh.
really it's like those loose terms. She at one time was a judge, but now she's a career news personality. Chuck Berry. It's a Chuck Berry classic.
Chuck. Oh, yeah.
So we had that was awesome, man. I hope we get to do a few more of those. I really, really do.
Chuck Berry. Ding-a-ling-ling.
C'est la vie.
Isn't that what it is? Never can tell. Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. There we go.
Oh, boy.
So here we are, day 39. Is that
Yep.
correct? The
Yep.
39th day straight we've been
Yeah.
running this
9 after 30.
this show, and different times here and there. We've been keeping it between
Between
2 o'clock and 5
right
o'clock.
before dinner time. Always
Always has Josh ready,
Fucking
yawning and ready for
yawning
dinner.
and ready for dinner time.
Yeah.
Always like a little dinner time.
So
Tell me, what do you got?
so you want to hear it? You
oh,
want to hear
I,
a little
Jesus
rant?
Christ,
I wish.
I heard you fucking yipping and a yapping. Were you talking with the talker?
Oh, I did. I called.
How'd he? Ooh, how'd he
that was
handle
something
it?
else interesting.
Yeah, he just listened though, huh?
Mm-hmm.
He probably it's hard for him just to listen. He likes to talk.
So yeah, I wanted to just share. I'll share with the listeners my thing. So
Oh,
I
I bet.
discovered I discovered
What
like a
thing is
great
that?
show last night,
Oh boy, I
and
bet.
it was interesting because, you know,
I'm guessing you did.
my son turned me on to it,
Okay.
and it involves the
Is it-
creator of
Is there a name to the show?
yeah, the name of the show is Midnight Gospel on Netflix,
Oh boy.
and it is a animated series.
Oh, here we
um,
go. Animation, huh?
But it isn't it's like adult topics, you know. There's definitely like you know, vulgar language. But here's what's cool about it, okay?
Tell me.
Is that it's not just like a cartoon with a cartoon storyline.
Right.
It's like animation over top of a podcast discussion.
Oh.
And what's interesting about it is it's just like we can be talking like we are right now.
Right.
And then there was this animation behind it. You know, each like episode is about 20 minutes, and it's animated, and the animation part has its own like story.
Right.
And then there's like different characters in it, but the conversations are actual real conversations of people talking about real stuff, like in many cases spiritual stuff, many cases like
Oh yeah.
there's discussion. Like the first episode on there is all about legalization of marijuana,
Oh,
drugs in
Jesus.
general, and it's so it's a interview with it's actually an interview with Dr. Drew.
Oh,
Um,
fucking.
And so
Pole smoker.
what's crazy is that, you know, I didn't really know anything about it other than it was from the creator of the regular show that I had watched with my son on Cartoon Network, and we liked it, so he told me about it. And so we watched it together, and then right away, within like the first couple sentences, I recognized the voice of the main guy that's doing the interview. So the guy that's doing the podcast is you know, one of my, like, an awesome comedian, an awesome podcaster, and just like one of the coolest guys that, you know, has turned me on to a lot of cool people, especially through his podcast, and that is Duncan Trussell. Duncan Trussell.
Say
And
that
there is the
again.
Duncan Trussell Family Hour is the name of his podcast, the DTHF or DTFH. That's the name of his podcast.
Oh.
But like his real life podcast. So what he did is he like took episodes from this real life podcast,
Yeah.
and he made them the dialogue within a cartoon.
Oh.
So it's not like
tricky.
It's not like The Simpsons, or it's not like these cartoons where, you know, or things on Adult Swim where it's trying to you know, like have a storyline and characters and the characters and this and that. It's more of like the characters are, I don't know, it's awesome. There's some really cool things about it that come together. Like, so the character in the animation part that Duncan Trussell plays is this guy that does, you know, the Midnight Gospel, and it's a midnight podcast thing. So, but what he does is he goes out to
napping by then.
he basically just like goes into a virtual simulation world of his choosing, and is a character of his choosing in that world. And he's like meets somebody, he like basically is going to that world to interview somebody or to like talk with them about something, you know. So that's what the 20 minutes end up being, and it's just like an amazing thing, because
and
it'll
then
be
they
like
put cartoon type deal to it.
yeah, it'll be like it'll start out like I'm just serious, like anybody that is curious or they've seen it on their screen and they're just like, what is this? The coolest thing about it is it's got some deep spiritual talk in there, because the real conversations that are going on are legit. So it's like I said, dude, you can you know, shake your head at it, but it's literally like I watched 3 episodes, and it's already like one of the coolest things that I've ever like the greatest idea, man. It's freaking brilliant. It's this brilliant show, like these ones that come along, and no, it's not the Tiger King, but it's beyond. It's actually pretty cool. So
you didn't
I
watch
wish,
Tiger King, so how do you know?
I did watch an episode of it, and it was
Oh.
the same as any other like reality show where it drags you in the same way that the old, you know, soap operas did, Guiding Light, because like this dude's doing this person wrong, and this person's gonna get even, and what are they gonna find out? And I can tell the story all day long. I don't know.
You don't murder, man.
Murder. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not taking it away. I get it. I'm just saying that my interest is slightly different. I guess
Right.
is what I'm saying. And this one to me is like a huge, like, wow, that's amazing. Awesome guys like Joey Coco Diaz is in there, and one of the episodes was an interview with a guy that is basically studies the religion of magic. And obviously the word magic seems crazy, and some of the things on there are weird, like things he even talked about. But it's just cool that just the conversation that they did have. And the dude actually was a guy that went to prison. He was from the South, so he had a hard time like relating to certain Eastern religions and certain things about that. So anyway, it ends up being pretty cool. Pretty cool thing.
Well,
So anybody out there that wants to see
what's it called?
it's called The Midnight Gospel on Netflix.
Gospel.
Like I said, first episode is just about a conversation with Dr. Drew about legalization and about Duncan Trussell's drug experiences over the background of like a zombie world where the Dr. Drew character is a president and the Duncan Trussell guy is a dude that was just dropped in and put into this body. And it's crazy, man. And then they walk through this zombie apocalypse having a conversation about the legalization, and by the end, Dr. Drew is like, okay, then maybe, not all drugs are bad. Like that whole breakdown of, conservatism and the idea that like drugs are bad and things that I've talked about too. So I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I liked it. And then moving on to other topics as well.
Oh. All right.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Well, what do you got? You got a lady on the four-wheeler that hit her head.
Oh. That's all I need is a quick little peek of some lady crashing.
And you are back.
Yeah. She was riding on the back of the four-wheeler with the guy, and he thought he jumped it right and nosedived it. But they didn't crash, but she whacked her head off at his back and then off the back of the four-wheeler. It was like double whiplash.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. Mang and Neads Show.
Yeah, man.
Anybody watching?
Yeah, we got a few viewers here.
Oh,
hi everybody out there.
Nothing like a viewer.
And Lao. Okay.
What?
What?
What else you got today? You got something else?
Let's see. Yeah, dude, listen to this rant. Dude, I'm telling you,
Holy shit.
this one kind of hurts, but honestly, my opinion right now is like whenever I feel like stupid or something like that,
Yeah?
all I got to do is listen to something like this, and it makes me feel so much better.
What
about
is
myself.
it?
Oh, this is our lovely Judge Janine Pirro.
Oh, boy. Here, let me hear this shit.
Giving a rundown.
Come on, Janine.
Here we go.
In their homes who've been patiently watching this unfold have seen the data, and the facts change from day to day. First, there were 2.2 million who were supposed to die in the United States, and then it was 1 million. Then it was 500,000, then 250,000. And supposedly, mitigation was already taken. And we understand there are still many sick and dying, and density in hotspots are to be treated differently. But what about the rest of us? We want to go back to work, feed our families. And as the governors sit there and pontificate, we are the ones experiencing the reality that for every percentage drop in employment, there are 5,000 to 10,000 deaths occurring. Depression, suicide, domestic violence, child abuse, resurgence of alcoholism, drug addiction, loss of hope. Battered women locked at home with their abusers. Abused children not being identified or protected because they cannot go to school. I'll wear my mask. my gloves, and I'll keep my distance, and I'll do the testing whether to determine if I have COVID or whether I have the antibody. But don't you even think about tracing or tracking or giving me a card. It ain't happening. Your models are out of control. The economy is out of control. China is the one that's out of control.
Oh.
We're not going to let you destroy this country or our way of life. We've worked too hard and we fought too long to lose it to a Wuhan. That's what I said, a Wuhan virus that China knew about, openly lied about, said it couldn't be transmitted from human to human, and intentionally protected Chinese citizens from the virus, but allowed that virus to be released, putting the rest of the world at risk. You want to control people? You politicians want to flex your muscles? Well, start working on how you're going to punish, ostracize, alienate, and financially sanction and make China accountable for what they did to us and the rest of the... Debbie Dingell, who is the...
This is an interview with a protester, a leader of the resistance.
To say about you guys, and I was rather shocked. Here she is, a representative of your state, criticizing this peaceful protest, and it was peaceful, saying it was inexcusable. What are Michigan's reaction to her?
Well, I can tell you, look at Michigan, look at the nation. What we've done with Operation Gridlock has ignited a fire that has spread across this entire nation. Arizona, Pennsylvania, Texas. I mean, today, New York, great example of gridlock. People rising up all across the nation.
There was 50 people out, lady. Give a fucking break. All right.
You know, a lot of people are very proud of you, Michonne, and what you've done.
Michonne?
A lot of people are really proud of that lady.
Huh. That's
I wish you could see the video because the smug face on the lady that was talking. So proud of herself.
What is Jeanette upset about? She's working, obviously. What the fuck?
No, you know what is funny is she's doing the green screen just like we are in her house.
She's working,
and
though.
I think she's wasted every show. It's like it's just gotten funnier.
She a Joe supporter?
But let me tell you something. Since we
like
take our
Joe Biden, does she?
Yeah, right. You know who she loves.
Oh.
The shit show.
The shit show.
She's popular.
2020, bring it back.
Popular in the shit show.
Bring it back round.
I got another slight little shame one here, and this is the mayor of Las Vegas.
I listen. It's with what's his name?
All right, with our friend
Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Hundreds of thousands of people
ravaging
to come
them
to Las Vegas. I get the financial.
Dude, this lady was wasted,
which is awful. But you're encouraging. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people coming there in casinos, smoking, drinking, touching slot machines, breathing circulated air, and then returning home to states around America and countries around the world. Doesn't that sound like a virus petri dish? I mean, how is that safe?
Know what it sounds like?
Know what it
You're
sounds
being an
like,
alarmist.
Anderson.
If you can't figure out how to do this safely, why, as mayor of a city that you are responsible for the people's safety, are you calling for something that you have no plan for how it would be done safely?
I am not a private owner. That's the competition in this country.
You said in another interview, you said, quote, let the businesses open. Competition will destroy that business if, in fact, they become evident. They have a disease. They're closed down.
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Do you stand by that? Because it would take weeks, as I think you probably know, before anyone realized a place was a epicenter of viral infection. I mean, that it would take weeks for that would actually to show up.
Oh, Anderson,
you're comfortable with that.
You're a very good interviewer. I've watched you for years.
Tell me she's not
you're
drunk.
Wonderful. And I'm not going down that road. I am sticking with what I'm asking for. Please, our governor.
I'm focused on what you're saying, Madam Mayor, and what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Get me to say something. No, that's your opinion of what you think I'm saying, and I. Governor has a great and a difficult job.
But you're saying competition.
I want
you want it to be like the free market. Everybody gets to go into these restaurants, and if it becomes a center for viral infection, that the markets will decide.
Anderson, no,
we weren't
That's
broken.
what you said.
We weren't broken when we were closed down, and
you
yet
stand
all
by
of
what
us,
you
I
said.
think I had it.
You said let the
believe we need to be
businesses open. Competition will destroy that business if, in fact, they get evidence they have a disease there. So that should happen.
Every one of those lives is a tragic loss, but when you count 150 versus 2.3 million, you have to say we have to open up. We have to go back. Our bus drivers, our
But hasn't it been
cleaners,
because of
our
social
restaurants.
distancing that the numbers have been what they are?
How do you know until we have a control group? We offer to be a control group. Anybody who knows anything about statistics knows that, for instance, you have a vaccine.
You're offering
you give the real
citizens of Las Vegas to be a control group to see if your theory on social distancing works or doesn't work.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said we'll be a control group.
Excuse me. What I said was I offered to be a control group, and I was told by our statistician, you can't do that because people from all parts of Southern Nevada come in to work in the city. And I said, oh, that's too bad, because I know when you have a disease, you have a placebo that gets the water and the sugar, and then you get those that actually get the shot. We would love to be that placebo side so you have something to measure against. So all the data until
you want to get the placebo. You don't want to get the actual. Well, no, the group who gets the placebo, by the way, usually gets the short end of the stick.
Well, you don't know. How do you know when you're in part of that group? You are.
Mayor, if casinos reopen, are you going to be inside those casinos every single night, putting your own life on the line?
I have lived in this town for 56 years.
Are you going to go to the casinos every night and put your life on the line like all the workers you say you were there holding their hands?
So they don't need it. We weren't broken. We tragically have 150 people we lost. Tragic. We have 2.3 million people here.
I haven't heard you say yes, that you would be sitting on those casino floors every night along with the people that you say you are holding their hands with.
What is the purpose of that? First of all, I have a family.
Because it would be putting your money. It would be putting money where your mouth is. Just let the business open. If it becomes a vector for viral infection and those people go back to their states and around the world, so be it.
It's a responsibility of each one of us as a human being and part of the civilized world to know when we're sick.
This is independent Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman calling for her city.
And then right in the end, she used that same line. It's up to us as citizens to know when we're sick.
Yeah, man.
But we don't know. Dude, I'm sorry. You didn't get to hear like any of that.
Yeah, you turned it down and all of a sudden
No, it was
gone.
on your earphones because I plugged it in because I figured I could use that the same way I'd use all the the other phone thing.
Oh.
So that
Yeah, I was out here. I was making arrows, pointing to my ears and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I wonder what he means, and then finally I got it. No, when you were putting your arms out, I thought you were just animating what that crazy person was saying.
I couldn't hear it.
Well,
I was trying to hear it.
Sorry.
And then I was talking on the mic, and you weren't listening to me.
I was. I thought I was.
Oh, I'm like, yo, hey, can you hear?
Oh, I couldn't hear that.
Yeah. That lady must have been chatting.
Finally, when you tapped your earphones, I was like, wait a minute. That is the
I've
universal signal.
Dude, I've been out here doing this for fucking the whole thing. I was waving like this. I was tapping my ears. Fuck.
Hey, what can you do?
Can't do much.
What can you do?
When your world is invaded by.
Okay, so what else we got
today?
Let's talk about.
What are we talking about?
I don't know. Oh. I gave my 10 minutes to the midnight gospel.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I'm like, this is one of those things that's gonna be, it's gonna last forever. It'll have a couple seasons.
Right.
But I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Well, I'm glad you found it. Yep. I didn't find anything this week.
You didn't find anything inspirational?
No, definitely not.
No.
Nah.
Well, I tell you what, you had one hell of a picture that you had created from the truck and the dude.
Oh, the dude.
I think I got it. Yeah, I did. I think I was able to load that.
As like a thumbnail or something?
Yeah.
Old thummy.
That's a good one. The mAng and Neads Show with the I think that was my brother's truck.
Yeah. Before he
like
before he got the blue one.
That white one, yeah.
High Sierra. Yeah.
The High Sierra.
Yeah, right? Something like that. High country, something like that.
And then yeah, that's cool stuff.
And he got the big blue truck. Yeah.
Big blue.
You don't have anything else?
I mean, I'm sure I do. I just didn't want to.
What? You didn't want to what?
You want to hijack everything.
Oh, it's.
You know?
I mean, you've already done that.
I did want to say that. Oh, I did want to. I had another.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I do have a good one that actually.
You do.
Okay, two of them. But I did want to say that the job loss, right?
Yeah.
That is. Hold on a second here.
All right.
Da-na-na. So, yeah, there was the jobs created since the Great Recession. And what was the Great Recession? That was the one, the Bush one, right?
In 08?
Yeah. Was that called the Great Recession?
Yeah.
Either way,
like
that it says that there has been 2.4 million jobs created since the Great Recession.
Oh.
And the UI claims in the last 4 weeks, which I don't think counts the latest today, was 22 million claims.
Unreal.
So that means every job that's been created has been canceled, at least temporary. And then jobs lost in the Great Recession was 8.7. So that was like, so they're saying that the Great Recession didn't have, was a third, is going to end up being like a third or even less.
Right. Trump, man. 2020.
Keep the shit show. Yeah, and then that's the whole thing is like, basically we're like one way or the other. Like if you want to give us tyranny and authoritarianism, then let's go with that. Or like if you want to do socialism, let's go with that. But either way, like the government needs to like determine
federalism,
like needs to just take over, because that's where we're at. We can't win. Like one way or the other, it's like there's nothing normal. We'll see.
Well, we will.
We will. So what else, man?
I think
what else you got going on? You think Trump's got a landslide? Is that what he said?
No, I think he should do some some fireside chats, man. Help calm the nation.
Yeah, right. He should do that. Some mushrooms and help calm, and then have a nice little chat with the country.
Mushrooms?
Yeah, man. Like psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah. Well, no, I knew you didn't want him to have shiitake.
Shiitake. They're good ones. Baby Bella.
Baby Bella. Shiitake.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm running pretty low on my
self-esteem.
On my food. My pantry, man.
Really?
I'm gonna have to go. Like I had a big, huge bag of rice, like a big one, and I
got
ate
a pantry up there.
You know, just those things, like the regular things. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, oh man, I need laundry soap. I need dish soap. I need all these things that are like, forcing me to go to the store.
Do you know what language Jesus spoke?
Arabic?
I don't know. I didn't know if you knew. That's what I was wondering. You know.
I don't know. Arabic, I think. I don't know.
Something he did out there.
Why that? What's that?
Just wondering, Ange.
Oh.
You were talking about spirits.
Spirit.
A little while ago.
Spirit. Okay, there has been
about a half an hour ago.
I saw an article, another one where like a lady was given a grant or one of these forgiveness loans, a small business, to employ, to keep, part of the rules of receiving these are that they have to be used towards payroll.
That's not what'd she do?
No, she called up, and I don't know, how many of these there are, but I imagine if there's one, I think it's in Washington. She called up, had a company meeting, with all her employees,
right,
and said that they got the grants, she got this grant, and that she was going to be able to keep payroll going and all that stuff, and it was instantly like people started getting really mad because they're making more money than going to work, and this is like a salon, like beauty salon type place or whatever.
Right.
So it was like, even though she was going to pay them, that meant they weren't going to have the unemployment. And the unemployment is where, like, people... And so, basically, we had a chart here where... So they tried to... you remember the whole thing about how much everybody was...
a chart.
Remember how much everybody was going to get. Like, how much, people... and they decided to... run this CARES Act that just gave it straight across the board. So basically, people at, the people of 3 different states that they tested, or that they kind of looked at. It was Washington, California, and Mississippi. And in all 3 states, it was the exact same curve where people that were making higher wages were still not quite getting their supplement,
right,
of they're like hanging right around 100%. So before this act, it was like 50% was the target, and it would be like people on the low end weren't getting nearly as much back. But now it's like basically people on the low end are getting 200% times more money than they were getting. And then like somebody that's on the higher end of like a $40 an hour person, they're like still not getting their $40 an hour back. They're like hanging right underneath it. But if you're a $10 an hour person, then you're making twice as much money as you were making when you had a job.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So then if you're all of a sudden you want to go to work, like it just shifted the whole thing again. So now everybody, it's almost like what's next with that? Like all of a sudden you're going to be made to feel guilty because you don't work. It's like a weird thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so people working right now, the essential people aren't getting paid as much as people not working. It's just crazy. But then again, anybody on a high end, higher wage earning that gets laid off, unemployment is not still not matching 100% of their wages. But you get that whole idea.
I do.
So basically, the less you make, the more better off you are. At least on your budgeting, because now you have twice as much money as opposed to the other end that has not even the same amount. Etc.
Huh.
Crazy.
It is. Very crazy.
Yeah, what else? I don't know, man. Same thing. We got to give updates. What we always try to keep is see when these numbers are going to go down, and they never do. Like in weeks, the numbers have not decreased. So all the talk about running out there. In fact, we are looking at today again 27,000 cases in the United States, almost 2,000 deaths. So again, we're not at all at the peak. We have not,
not
peaked
tweaking yet.
out. We're just running along, which is actually, it's nice because it's kind of like flat. It's nice in the way that it's flattening that curve.
Beautiful.
It's not peaking.
Right.
But it means that these numbers are going to ride out longer, and the longer they ride out, the more they get tallied. Man, there's been almost 4.5 million tests performed.
Nothing like it either. Best in the world. We're doing the best and most tests that have been done.
Yeah, I can't even,
ever.
It's kind of crazy because you can't even really listen to Trump, you know?
I don't feel that way. Fuck.
No, I mean, you can. It's just like you can't.
Oh, you know what he did say, Buttigieg? He said that, man, this guy, he's good. You got to watch him because he says, you know what I mean? He'll talk for 2.5 hours and 16 seconds of it will be truthful. He said that, so you got to catch it. He said, your boy Kemp there from Georgia, the governor, right? That guy's opening up. Trump doesn't agree with it, he said. He doesn't think it's a good idea.
Right. I saw that for sure.
Doesn't think it's a good idea.
But
in the next sentence,
he says
Trump comes out saying that we got to open businesses up in some of these states.
No, and specifically he said he knows what he's doing. He's he's doing what's best. He's got to decide what's best, and I'm not going to overreach unless he does real bad. And then if he does real bad, I will.
Yeah, of course.
Same
of course.
old,
I'll do
same
it.
shit.
We do it great. Biggest and best.
So yeah, I mean, as far as everybody, all those the top worst countries, everybody's still coming in hot. Right down to Turkey. You got USA, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, the UK, Turkey are all over 100,000 cases, and obviously Spain is over 200,000 cases, and the U.S. is 876,156 cases, making up 1/3 of all the cases in the world. We have done 13,543 tests per million people. People are also talking about tests now because you get the test and then right away you could catch it the next day. So it's it doesn't really it doesn't mean that
better
anything.
Be tested on the right day.
Well, it seems like you'd get tested and then you'd be like, okay, I need to be safe.
Yes, need to be safe.
So yeah, again though, like I'm saying, today we have 27,000 new cases and we have 2,000 new deaths today.
That's it
in the U.S. No, this is the same numbers we've been suffering. Like as we said, every day. That's all we can really look at this point to not dwell on it. We've looked at patterns. We looked to see what was happening in other countries. Now we're at the point where we have nothing we can look to except for ourselves and the advice of the experts. And like we've said, Fauci tells us we need to see a hard drop.
Did you see
not this steady decline?
Right.
Our peak day, according to the charts, was April 4th.
Oh no.
And that was 34,403 cases. But we have ridden basically 33. We dropped down into but we dropped down into 27 for a couple days. Then we pumped right back up to 30, and then we hit 32 about 5 or 6 days. And today we are coming in hot at 29,973.
We're gonna hit that 60,000 death mark like they were talking about.
So we are still, it's just like I said. Our figures are, we're gonna see these nasty deaths well beyond. We're going to see the nasty numbers of deaths around 2,000 until this number significantly drops to 10,000 new cases or 5,000 new cases.
Right.
And until then, we're going to see 2,000 people every single day dying. And that's tough. Yesterday, 2,804 people.
Unbelievable.
2 days ago, and yesterday was 23.
where it's at.
So 22 was the highest day. Or I'm sorry, 21. April 21st is the most deaths in one day. Yeah. And those numbers are not going to slow down according to these other numbers. So, yeah. Boom. Right. That's it.
That's all she wrote. If you were on the back of that four-wheeler.
Yeah, that's all. If you emailed it to me, I could pull that thing right up.
Oh, man. Ruth Chris, they
gave it back?
Yeah.
Hells yeah.
Gave $20 million
$20 million. Good for you, Ruth Chris, doing the right thing. I don't even know who you are. You're a steakhouse?
Oh, they're big time. Yeah, they're big time. New York City, yeah.
So what about the flip of this being that, like the companies don't want to give it back because they're like, why take out a forgiveness loan, even if it is a forgiveness loan, go through the paperwork when you can just, like, lay everybody off and let them get this fat unemployment.
Unenjoyment.
I mean, of course, then when things kick off again, those people aren't going to want to go to work, just like the old deal. But I don't know, man. What can you do? Hey, what's this little adapter that you put over here? Oh, yeah, this was the adapter. Sorry.
Oh, no. North Carolina extended their stay at home till May 8th at least.
Yeah. Right next to South Carolina, right next to Georgia. And oh, yeah, so that was the other thing is that, remember, Georgia was the guy that he didn't find out about asymptomatic until it was April, like, 2nd.
Right.
So, like, April 2nd, this guy's going, wow, we didn't know that. We better shut down. They didn't even make it 3 weeks. They made it 3 weeks, and they're like, open it up.
Yeah, he was out in the
Seems crazy.
swamps with his cousin. Didn't know that asymptomatic could spread.
So then we assumed that he was just, playing, that he was dumb.
Oh.
That he was just that dumb and wasn't listening to people and wasn't paying attention.
Well, that's pretty
but
good
now we
fucking
realize
assumption.
but now we realize that this was like he was just attempting to save more face a little bit longer. But now that he's like, nope, I'm not gonna let it, And this guy's governor's mansion is 5 miles from the CDC.
Really? Did you
5 miles from the CDC, and this guy's saying,
did you see they made that CDC guy walk his comments back?
Yep. About it being worse? Or
in the fall.
He just had to explain how the reason why it's going to be worse is because we'll be fighting 2 viruses.
Yeah, but then they made him say that he didn't think it was going to be worse. Yeah. That was special. Yeah.
Don't ease me in.
Nope.
What have we been saying all along? I think that was a huge thing to see that all the concerts were closed or canceled all the way through July. It really is saying that this is not, even when things kick back in, it's going to be very small. So when is Georgia going in? Monday or today? Friday. Yeah. That's tomorrow.
It is, actually. You are right.
So the other, so here was the other. Here's another good article or a good update, and this was from our the lady, what is it, Nora something. This one is about how the meat packing, or all the meat, Tyson closing down a lot of factories.
Yeah, about 10% of the meat pop
So there is going to be a decline in available proteins.
It's putting the world at risk of widespread famines of biblical proportions. There are growing concerns about food supplies in this country, especially in America's meat industry. An explosion of coronavirus cases is forcing some meat packing plants to shut down. We've got more now from CBS's Janet Shamlian.
A major pork processing plant is the latest to close. Tyson Foods in Waterloo, Iowa, where 2,800 workers process nearly 20,000 hogs a day. It comes after an outbreak of at least 100...
Fucking pig farmer. Hogs.
180 COVID-19 cases there, and after Iowa lawmakers filed an OSHA complaint. even though the state's governor resisted.
We can work with different processing facilities across the state to keep the processing plants up and going.
A USA Today investigation found 150 of the nation's largest plants are in counties where the infection rate is spiking, threatening
imagine
not
that.
only workers, but potentially the food supply.
Any plant or factory across the country could become the #1 hotspot next week if they do not take this issue seriously.
Processing plants can be a breeding ground for the virus because many workers spend their days side by side. This man, who recovered from COVID-19 and asked we not use his name, works at Smithfield Foods in South Dakota.
George.
We are very close.
Oh.
We can use a social distance at that place.
Tonight, there is increasing concern about the supply of meat and poultry. The Agriculture Department reports beef production is already down 19% from a year ago.
Are we going to be going through a meat shortage in the United States?
I don't know.
You know, you may not get the exact product that you want when you go to the store, but we do not expect, I would not expect a protein shortage.
And tonight, CBS News has learned that Tyson has closed yet another of its plants, this time in Indiana. And here in Texas, public health officials are now investigating outbreaks at 2 rural processing plants, areas where hospitals and resources are thin. Nora?
All right.
No pork for you.
So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a call-in number, 607-373-HEAT.
Heat.
We might just call you back if we get a call in, but
call us.
But call us. Feel free to join the chat if you want to talk about any topics or anything that you've seen going on that sparks the interest. We'd love to talk about it. Anybody that's seen that the Midnight Gospel, I'd love to discuss a little bit of that with you.
You'd like to chat about it?
Yeah, I don't know if Josh would, but hey, give us a call. 607-373-HEAT. Sonic Gardens Radio. Hey, we're gonna play a song here.
Rodeo.
We're gonna play a video for you from our Shaka Jams.
Oh.
And I'd like to loop these songs around. They're new recordings. So, hey, man, we'd like to get them out there.
I like to fucking
let you guys know what we got going on.
Make sure you hear it.
This is a live. Hold on a second here.
I'm waiting.
I want to get a little something put in here.
Huh.
Throw an image in here.
Mang and Neads Show. You got an image?
Yes, sir. Let me see.
You're the one that can see.
Let me see if I do, first of all.
Well.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Fucking. You still waiting for your unemployment check? Because millions
No,
of
you know
Americans
what's funny,
are.
though, is that I was, like, surprised because I did see a check in the mail.
Oh.
So I was like, holy shit, I got a check.
Motherfucker.
So I instantly opened it up, and I'm like, motherfucker, because it was one of those
fake ones.
One of those fake ones, but it looks like a check, and it's so funny because they always get you to open it, and then I'm like, because you don't want to just throw it away. I'm like, junk mail, but I'm like, but it could be a check.
Yeah, for $1.50.
Yeah, so yeah, so it wasn't. It was like somebody trying to get my money. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
We got a track for you here.
Been waiting.
This one is by Shaka.
Yeah, Shaka.
And this song is called
Shaka House Band.
Song is called No Tomorrow. Live from March 15th, 2020, Sonic Gardens. You are listening to the Mang and Neads Show on Sonic Gardens Radio.
Great.
How many people are going to survive their
Turn it up.
So live life like there's no tomorrow.
soaked up all the pain. Hit the bottom, but I'm rolling in my grave. I can't take more of this sorrow. I'm up to my ears. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love, never let your feelings lose the battle, because the fight has just begun. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love and never let your feelings lose your battle, because the fight has just begun.
Welcome.
And we're back.
Yep. Mang and Neads Show.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
Fucking
It was
A.
Shaka doing
Live, March
Live.
15th.
doing No Tomorrow.
Nada.
No tomorrow. So here we are.
Well, yep. Live.
Live again.
Uncut.
Day number 39 of our Central New York quarantine.
One more day, it'll be 40.
40 days.
In her hole.
40 days. A lot to learn in 40 days. A lot of things.
A lot of things that
discovered
you
in our
didn't know
40 days of
before.
quarantine.
Yep.
Yeah, man. 40 days and 40 nights.
Yep.
Yep.
That could be the day. What? What do you got? What'd you see?
I don't know. I think I was done. I think I was out of
Oh, really?
fun stuff to watch.
Oh, defeated, huh? The defeated. Fun stuff to watch, huh?
Mm-hmm. So that's about it. That Janine Pirro, the lady that she interviewed. Jeez.
Janine. You find it.
Oh, okay.
Where do you find?
Oh God,
Oh my goodness.
I have such a good one now.
Where do you find stuff like that, Janine stuff? You just you watch that kind of shit and then you see him say this.
I got a good one.
Oh.
All right, this is another good one. This one is they did a little sketch of a guy acts out. So Trump's doing his normal press briefing, but then there's a guy that acts out that he's the dude in his earpiece. So he's the guy giving him advice of what to say,
right,
and how to how to have it go good. Okay, so yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, this one cracked me up. It's good to watch the visual, but it's also the audio is going to be good too. Let's see what we got.
Okay, let's hit the ground running this time, okay? Let's start this briefing the best way we can.
It's a bad grouping of tornadoes, something that's something
or continue as normal. Up to you, really.
We have a few clips that we're just going to put up. We could turn the lights a little bit lower. I think you'll find.
Okay, dimming the lights.
And then we'll answer some questions.
Yep.
I'll ask you some questions.
No, you won't. Forget that.
Because you're so guilty, but...
No, forget it.
Forget it?
Don't you say forget it.
Please, you can put it on. Thank you.
Okay, putting it on.
This is fun.
Where's the music? There's supposed to be rousing military music. Oh, God, I forgot to put the rousing military music on. Hold on one sec. Let me pause it. It's fine. It's fine. I've got lots of rousing music on my iTunes, okay? Okay, ready. Okay, this isn't as rousing as I wanted it to be, so abort. Get back to your podium.
So we could give you hundreds of clips like that. I have many clips from many. I have some clips from Anthony.
Don't mention Dr. Fauci.
I think Anthony would be the first one to say.
Please don't mention Dr. Fauci. I can hear him squirming from here.
When I closed the country to China.
Please leave him alone. He's worn down. You've worn him down. And now he's just a pebble wearing a pair of glasses.
And when I closed the China ban, whatever
China ban.
He doesn't even know what it's called.
Anthony said I saved a lot of lives by doing that.
A lot of them.
Am I correct?
Well, I guess you're going to have to fill that silence now.
I don't want to put words in Anthony's mouth, by the way.
That's all you're doing.
Not everybody's happy with Anthony. Not everybody's happy with
you.
Everybody. But
not everybody's happy with everybody. You couldn't just say you to make that sentence make sense, could you? Look, could you leave for a moment, please? I need to talk to you face to face.
Oh, I'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so now they're acting it out like he's walking in the back room to talk to this guy.
Right, now you listen to me, okay? Every day you go out there.
What?
Out there in the press room, okay? And every day you humiliate yourself with this meandering, chauvinistic baby brain word soup, okay? And it's winning you 0 fans. Do you understand?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What? Why did you just say that?
What?
Oh, whatever. Look, you are at a crossroads right now, okay? Get better at this. Find some honesty, some humility, and above all, find a full stop from time to time. Now get back out to that press room before Mike Pence turns completely to chalk.
Where is it?
The press room. It's right behind. It's that door you just came through.
Which side is it on here?
Okay, now take another question.
Are you concerned, though, that people coming out in protest are going to spread COVID to other people?
Right, this is a perfect opportunity to change your game and say, yes, I am concerned, and these people should put their badly spelled protest signs down and go home immediately.
No, these are people expressing their views.
Expressing their views by spreading a virus during a pandemic.
They seem to be very responsible people to me.
They're walking around with semi-automatics, coughing on everyone and throwing rocks at Dunkin' Donuts. Hardly the symbol of responsibility that I'm picturing in my head, you irresponsible chop.
As you make this next decision, which
you need to backtrack on that right now. You need to distance yourself from these. Why are you pulling that face?
Will you assure the American people that you will again take the advice?
Why are you pulling your zoned out face? Have you zoned out? Oh my God, he's zoned out. Hey, come on, come back to us. Are you thinking about Egg McMuffins again? I know you really miss Egg McMuffins, but please come back to us. Oh God, I'm gonna have to put the video on again until he snaps out of this.
There you go.
That's a good one.
That was pretty good, huh? That was actually from that James Corden show.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah. Well, that wasn't him. It was like one of his One of the guys that works with him. That was good shit.
That
man.
was good.
The video's even better because just then when he pulled that zoned out face, it was the best because he just stared. He was just staring off into space, and he's like, "What have you done? You're zoned out." Oh shit, that was
your
great.
zoned out face.
Yeah. And then that part when he goes, "Okay, take a question. Do you think it's dangerous for them? This is your perfect chance to backtrack and say the right thing. Go for it." I saw a peaceful protest. Oh, Jesus. Hilarious.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so, no, I mean, hey, man, you know, like, over time, you search things, you watch things, they know what you like. You know, one that keeps bothering me, though, is they keep throwing these, Terminator clips at me
they know
from
you.
all the movies.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that I catch myself clicking on them, and all of a sudden I'm like watching these Terminator things, like breaking down all the Terminators and the different eras of Terminators, and all of a sudden I'm like, man,
Terminator versus Predator.
And then like the next day, all of a sudden I'm seeing it again, and this time I hit it and said not interested. So they would like get the picture, but they still throw them in there, and I'll be like, I told you. Yeah. So they kind of track what you like, and they throw things at you time to time. Yeah, comedians. They're killing it.
Well, not all of them. But that was funny. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one a lot. I don't usually like much.
No, you don't.
But I like that, though. that was funny. That was good.
I thought I'd get you.
Yeah, you did. Better than ever. Whatever else.
Which other one?
I don't know.
You didn't like my other ones?
I don't know what you were feeding me. Oh, I like Janine.
Okay.
Aunt Janine. Piro. She's drunk. Her and the mayor were doing virtual shots. The mayor of Vegas.
Yeah, that was a good one too. Again, like that.
Yeah, then he
video
cut me
like,
out.
oh,
I couldn't hear that.
Oh, that's right.
But I did watch her on last night, and I was watching her for a while.
Yeah.
And then I just shut it off because she was just, dude.
It was too much.
And then Anderson was trying to put the bolts to her, turn her. He was trying to get her to miss that.
You're a real good interviewer.
Yeah, I respect you. I've seen you before.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anderson.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
Nothing, man.
Oh, you don't know now.
That's it. I'm just in between. I'm kind of
in between jobs.
In between. In between
everything.
Stuff that I want to show.
Oh. I didn't read anything interesting. I read some stuff, but it wasn't too interesting. Well, it was to me. Oh, who's that? We got a call?
Oh, shit.
What is that?
That was, I was trying to find something.
Is this a movie?
It was definitely a advertisement.
Oh.
So there was another one I thought was pretty cool. That was Love, Death, and Robots. That one's another one that's like little 15-minute skits that are like some animation and all kinds of different stuff. Some of them are real. But,
wow.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
They hurt him bad. He had to have his arm cut off. There we go.
Wonder if there is.
What do you got going on in there? Fucking.
Oh, nothing. I'm just letting you. Oh, can you hear stuff talking?
Well, I just heard the monks or whatever. Or like or not. Yeah. They didn't make that noise at all. I don't know where that is. Yeah, they were at the synagogue. It sounded like getting her done. Yeah, I kept hearing all kinds of voices, and they weren't in my head.
Oh yeah. No, they weren't. No, they weren't, sir. What do I got? I got old JB.
John Bush, everybody. Little old Jimmy.
Oh, JB's internet's down.
Oh, boy.
I wonder if the cable got wind blown or something.
Yeah, well, that's not our problem, Tom.
Would we have seen it? We probably would have seen it.
Flopping in the wind out there.
Yeah.
He probably got drunk and did something to it. He'll be all right, Tom. We'll give him a reboot.
I told him we're good here. We reboot it.
Well, we can't reboot it. We'll lose everything right now.
No, him.
Oh, yeah.
He should reboot.
Yeah, tell him to reboot it.
Reboot it. Okay.
Tell him he keeps fucking around. Alrighty. What? What you got? What Oh boy.
Well, like I said, I wanted to play a,
Oh yeah.
I was gonna play another little thing.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I heard the alert.
Wait, you did?
I heard the bleep bleep, whatever it does.
Oh yeah, because you're turned up.
Fucking cranking.
Oh.
What happened? Tell me. Oh.
Nothing good, man. Nothing good.
Nothing good. Drafts tonight for the NFL.
Oh yeah, what's up with that? It's gonna be like a virtual draft or something.
Yeah. That's what they're gonna do.
Well.
Gonna have a camera on everybody. Call in the picks with the commish. He's gonna announce the picks from his basement.
Oh, the voice. The voice of that person. I'm not sure who the person was on that Jeremy Corbyn show or something.
Huh.
I was just answering
Lara.
A notification.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing
happy
else
out there, huh?
Nothing else really to discuss, I guess.
Oh boy.
Me personally.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I have a lot to discuss today.
Disgust.
Yeah. So you have to take a trip
Where?
to a store or something?
I'm gonna have to take a
Or
trip to the
are you
store.
gonna get stuff delivered?
I really should just get in the habit of doing that. Like officially sign up on the that Instacart.
Oh yeah.
And do an order. It makes sense. I think I could pull that off.
My problem is I know what I want sometimes, but I like to get other stuff too. I don't always have that list.
Well, when you could do it like daily,
right.
Then you just go in and you're like, what do I want to eat? And you just say, I want to get this stuff. But when you're shopping for the week, it seems like if you go in there with just an open deal, then you're going to get, at least me, I get mix match. And all of a sudden I'm like half a meal here and half a meal.
Mismatch.
I get kind of like, my mind gets crazy. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got some stuff to do 10 different meals, but nothing to do a full one.
One full meal.
And when I am organized, I kill it. I'd make some good food. Stuff that I enjoy eating.
All right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, man, I ran through all my stories. That's all I got today.
All right. Well, I'm good.
You're good with the day? Everybody out there?
I'm good with the day.
Thanks for tuning in, listening. If you haven't subscribed, please do.
Do it.
We bring you a show every day.
All day.
We talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I did just another pitch to everybody is that I discovered the Midnight Gospel on Netflix, and I think that it's an awesome show that anybody out there with a
Did we get sponsored
creative or open mind should check it out. What's that?
I said, did we get sponsored by them?
Because I gave them my whole show. No, man, but I told you, like the voice in it, and is Duncan Trussell, that is like an awesome comedian, but he's also been, has turned on to his podcast through, the Joe Rogan podcast, and then it just took me in different branches. That it's it's like it started with Joe, but it's like he's kind of it's a different one. It's interesting, man. He's a cool dude. I like him. Duncan Trussell.
Well, that's good. It's good to like people, I guess.
Check him out.
All right, check them out, folks. Let us know what you think. I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Any final words you want to give us, Josh?
I don't have anything great, I guess. Find out, I guess. I'm going to be here tomorrow, though.
Yes, that's good. So, I'm going to be here tomorrow, too.
So my plan
Hopefully
is,
all you guys are here tomorrow. And, hey, people out there. She says, Hija de Frank.
Just a chatting.
She wants to send me some lasagna.
Oh,
sure.
Boy. That's what you need. Lasagna.
I don't know how it would get, Send it in the mail. That's crazy. That's some crazy stuff, you'd think.
Well, you can do it.
All right. I'm going to give you another lovely closing song here.
Okay.
And
Hot 104.
Hope to see you guys, hear you guys tomorrow.
Sonic.
Give us a comment, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friend, share this thing.
Tell your cousin.
And we'll see you then. Sonic Gardens Radio, Mang and Neads Show. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.